Hi everybody, Erica here from Erica Lee Consulting, and we're coming up on the end of the year. And so I want to talk to you about goals. Chances are you're thinking about 2019, you've been planning for it for months, and it's never a bad time to set goals. In manufacturing, especially, it can be a great time harnessing the flip of a calendar and going out of shutdown into a new year of production. You can really see a lot of motivation and new energy to tackle new objectives. So I wanted to give you a few things to think about if you are setting goals for your team in the new year. So you may have heard of the acronym SMART. That is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And those are pretty self-explanatory. Mostly, you've probably heard about them before. So specific and measurable, I would put those two together. You always want to use a metric for your goal. And we measure lots of things in manufacturing, so this is not a hard thing to do. You say, I want our OEE to go from 60% to 70% by September. That is the time-based part of it. So you want to make it specific, measurable, attainable, meaning you're setting them up for success. Ideally, you give them one section of the plant, one machining cell or one assembly line so that they have a really actionable scope that they can tackle. That goes along with attainable. Relevant, it's something that you care about as a leader. It's not just a make work project. Oh, here, go do this. They can tell the difference. If it's something that matters to you, that is aligned with your objectives for the business, it's going to give them that much more motivation to work on it. And lastly, timely. So I mentioned giving them a timeline for the target that you've given them. We want to get first pass rejects from 10% down to 5% by April 1st. That's great. What you also want to do is build some timeliness into the metric itself. So, in that example, 10% to 5% on first pass rejects, is it a single shift average that you want? Is it an hour's production? Is it a week's production? What is the time unit of that metric? Because they're going to want to know that. They're going to want to measure it as they go along to see how they're tracking toward the target. So SMART, pretty logical, straightforward, and you've probably heard it before. But what I wanted to do today as well was to remind you as a manufacturing leader, when you give your team a focus, when you give them a project to work on, you are giving them the gift of, I call it the glory of a single metric. You're giving them some focus and some clarity. And you're saying to them, I understand you have a lot on your plate. Here's something I need you to do. And I understand that you're going to have to rearrange your world and go through some pain or at least some temporary discomfort because you're interrupting the way that things have been. You're making a shift. You're disrupting a rhythm or an equilibrium that you've been in. And that's hard. Change is hard, even if it's for the best. And so when you give people something to focus on, you picture a desk that's got stuff all over it, all kinds of papers, all kinds of projects, and you're basically clearing their desk and you're giving them one thing that they can look at and focus on. So that's a great thing to do for your team. Encourage you to do that. And there are a few other things, tips I would recommend as you set up goals. And so I would be curious to know how many are already using the SMART guideline. Did I mention anything new in this video, or is there anything else that you think about as you set up goals? What are you thinking about for 2019 for your team? And I'll see you in the next video for a few more tips.